have a great speaker today. Many of you already know this speaker. Diane Guthrie here is a Extension Master Gardener, and she brings a smile wherever she goes. And she is going to bring us more smiles today with the life of a flower. Growing, gathering, and creating beauty, presented by Diane Guthrie. And she is a certified master gardener, as many of you know, but she is also certified as a master floral designer. And she is president of the Eudora Giving Garden. Many of you may or may not know that. She has a passion for cultivating beauty and community. I love that expression, that's lovely. And she specializes in growing flowers specifically for bouquets. And through her leadership and artistry, Diane inspires others to connect with nature, creativity, and the joy of giving. I would like a warm welcome for Diane Guthrie.
Hello, as I've been introduced, my name is Diane Guthrie, and this slide over here is of my dad, my first mentor. It's not the best picture, but it's a picture of him and his garden in Long Island, New York, with his rhododendrons. And I don't know how everyone, rhododendrons, yes, that's what they were. So it was in the newspaper. So anyway, so I'm sure you all have a mentor of some sort, but you know, my brother, sister, and I all have learned from gardening with my dad. You know, we just loved to be with him. He loved nature. He loved pointing things out. And so that's how I began to love flowers. And it was mostly, you know, doing by watching what he was doing. And so anyway, now that I have a little bit more formal training, it's a little scary, but yeah. Okay. So, as I have said, I'm the president of the Eudora Giving Garden, and I've been doing this for 6 years, not the president. I mostly grow flowers, but as a president, I'm doing fundraisers, I'm involving the community, we do all sorts of fun stuff. Primarily what we do in this ugly picture hasn't happened. This is how they presented it to me. Hey, Diane. Start a bouquet garden here. Okay, so that's what it looked like. But now it looks like this, and we have a greenhouse. It's just we have so many flowers we don't know what to do with them. We really don't. But what we do is we give them every week. We make bouquets for the 2 assisted living places in Eudora, and we have a committee that does that. We also have given some scholarships this year to high school students that have come out and have done work in the farm and have learned a lot, and we hope to continue that support. Then we also grow food. We grow food for the food pantry, and so, you know, we don't grow like enough to feed the community, but we have fresh veggies that we're giving on a weekly basis. Oh, before I forget, I wanted to have part of my giving garden team is here today to support me. Can you stand up? And I should also thank Susan Rendell, because when I first started out with this project, I was like, oh, I need help, you know, I mean, how am I going, I don't know what I'm doing, because we have drainage issues, we have all sorts of problems, and so Susan was a big help in the very beginning, as she's helped so many gardens in our group. Okay, so during COVID, I decided to take Florette's class. Florette is Erin Benzakin, I think that's how you say her name. And so this is an online class. I think one of you mentioned this to me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And Florette is quite an amazing speaker, and I have her book over here. You can look at it after class. It's everything you want to know about gardening for flowers and flower arrangements. Okay, so here I am in the garden with some volunteers, and we're going to talk about harvesting and growing flowers. Yeah, put the light down. familiar with daffodils, tulip, irises, Iceland poppies, lilacs, flowering branches. And so here's an example of an easy thing to do an arrangement of flowers is getting one of these frogs. That's what it's called. And you can put your stems, there's little spots, and then you just drop it in a vase, or these pointy things, you can just put a few little plants in there, and beautiful. It's just so simple. And you can find these, which, online, or you could find them at garage sales and thrift stores, which I found these, and I have quite the collection of them. So when we're growing, okay, oh yeah, here we are. These are key cutting garden plant types that we use in growing flowers. We have tender annuals we sow in early spring, hardy annuals, which are short-lived plants. Biennials bring awkward gaps into what we're in between things. Then we have bulbs, forms, and tubers. They're bold, showy plants with saturated colors. And the perennials, which return yearly, which is great. Vines add movement to arrangements. Shrub and interesting materials. In fact, I've been seeing, I got a bouquet that was gifted to me, and they have these beautiful just sticks in it, like just 3 little sticks. And I was saving those sticks for a long time because I'm like, I need to make another flower arrangement with it. So just things like that to think of. And flowering trees. Okay, so this is something that is like what happens. Okay, these are newbie mistakes. Selecting only pretty blooms, and not having enough greenery, which I am guilty of not having enough greenery at the Giving Garden. I need to plant some more perennial types, and I'm always looking for the greenery, which is really important in a flower arrangement because it helps hold it together, and it just gives it some movement and some green. Okay, so then these are just some tulips, and with tulips, when we grow tulips as floral growers or designers, we grow them usually in like big buckets. And when we take the tulips out, the tulips will have the bulb on it to pull out the whole bulb. And then that's how you cut it and put it in a cold facility. So it seems like a big waste, but for floral designers, they just go through a wholesaler and buy a ton of that. And of course, your beautiful irises. These are just some of my favorite ones in spring. They're not necessarily the ones that I'm saying for you to grow. Okay, but these are my favorites, okay? And these are ones that you will have good luck with in the Midwest, in Lawrence, in Kansas City, in Douglas County in general. Zinnias, cosmos, dahlias, lilies, delphinium. I didn't think delphinium was going to work here in the Midwest, because I've seen it at my sisters in Colorado, and they're absolutely beautiful, and they're much bigger. But if you grow these in early spring, right now I'm still having some delphiniums bloom in our hoop house at the garden. Phlox, snapdragons, celosia, comfrena, marigolds, and there are some really amazing cool marigolds right now that you would not know that are like this big. Karen Pendleton grows some of our starter plants for us, and she has these orange ones that people think they're a carnation. Then there's stock, sunflowers, black-eyed Susans, pincushions, Lysianthus, love it a mist, Iceland poppy, sweet William, and yarrow. So, and now I want to just talk to you a little bit about some of these. I'm not going into every single one, but just how we grow and how we harvest them, when we pick them. And so Sweet William dianthus, which I just learned this morning that there is a dianthus called Diane, my name. So anyway, the dianthus starts really early spring. And they're a cut and come again, so you can just keep on cutting and then they'll come again. I've had 3, we call it flushes, when things come back, after like that, you think they're dormant and then all of a sudden things come back again. And so, and these we usually pick when they are in full bloom. So, and they almost make just they're so sweet because they could be like this big just for one bloom. And it's almost like that's a little bouquet by itself, yeah. Celosia. There's 2 different kinds of celosia. There's plumed and crested. This is a crested one, which is sort of like, I like to think of it, I call it the brain. It's a brain looking, or it's like a oxtail, it's like a rooster. And then the other one is more like free-flowing, just really kind of more dainty and feathery-like. The only problem that I have with these as cutting flowers is they make a big mess. Their seeds will get on your table, and I haven't figured out how to solve that problem. I know with sunflowers, there are, like if you're having a wedding and you need a bouquet for a wedding, with sunflowers, you can get sunflowers that are not fertile. I think that's what it's called. So they won't drop anything, So that's the other problem with a lot of flowers, making a mess. There's yarrow, which is another cut and come. You can keep on cutting that. And this is not the prettiest variety, but I love the yellow. I don't know if you've seen that. I mean, it's just, I don't know the variety, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to grow that next year. There's always next year. So this is now becoming one of my all-time favorite flowers, Lysianthus, which we just call little Lizzies, like, hey, how are the Lizzies doing, So, yeah. And I started planting them a couple of years ago. We planted them in our hoop house, and then this year they came back in the hoop house. And like, we don't heat our hoop house. We don't do anything. I mean, there's plastic around it, and so they all came back. But then I also bought additional plants from an online wholesaler, and I have so many of them. And these are definitely cut and come again. What happens if you don't cut them, they'll fall. I'll show you another slide, but this is how we net our Lysianthus. You want to net them because they will just kind of fall over. And then there's a rule, which you can always break the rules, but you're supposed to wait till at least 3 to 4 on the stem or in bloom before you pick it. So you don't want to just pick it with one, because then they probably won't all open up. And Rudbeckia, Black-Eyed Susan. These are 2 new varieties that I haven't grown, but they're growing in one of my friend's garden, which I'll introduce her later. And we have so much fun with the kids from the elementary school and the high school come to the Eudora Giving Garden. That's another thing we do. They have kids come and learn about the curiosity of plants and flowers. And they love, of course, the name Black-Eyed Susan. It's like, a Black-Eyed Susan? They think that's a really funny name. Just like, I love also, we have, lamb's ear. And, a lamb's ear is nice and soft, silvery. And they all think it's actually a lamb's ear. They're like, can I have a lamb's ear for my sister and brother? Okay, we can give you one, and then everyone wants one. So he's like, you gotta calm down. Just on another diversion, what we do with the kids too, we grow something called a sensitive plant. Anyone familiar with that?
Sure.
So it's a great plant to just talk, because when you touch or you blow on the sensitive plant, it shrivels up like, so anyway, we like to talk about feelings. So how you don't always feel good, like plants don't like to be touched also. A lot of plants don't want to be touched, although I touch them all. Okay, pinku. scabiosa. These look like nothing when they're in the garden. I mean, they're about this big, you know, they're not, I've actually gotten them that big this year, you know, about more than, like, almost a quarter, bigger than a quarter size. But they look fantastic in a vase. These little things that you think would do nothing at all, give so much flow. Oh, look at this one. So this is the scabiosa, you know, but mine are much smaller than this. This is actually my front growers. So, yeah, and so, you know, it's just tedious to pick and really tedious. There's a lot of flowers that are tedious to pick. Here's our delphinium, which I talked about, that I picked the last delphinium on Monday in the garden. I was like, okay, no one's picking it, so I'm taking it. I hope you guys don't mind. This is another favorite, Globe Amaranth Gumfrina. And Gumfrina, where's the garden committee people and the art garden? Did they leave? Yes, so.
We want some.
Yes. You can harvest as many as you want, because we have 2 big beds of them, and it is so tedious picking them. It is so tedious. But they work so well in a dried arrangement. I mean, I had mine 3 years ago. I dried them, and they're still looking amazing. Yeah. Oh, and celosia will do the same thing, the coxcomb, and will make a wonderful dried flower. Okay, then we have, this was in Susan's garden. I photographed the gardens for the new Master Gardener tour. And I just thought that variety of the lily was just incredible. What's amazing with lilies, of course, it is a one cut, and it doesn't cut and come again, but when you cut one of the branches, then you have multiple blooms, and so within 7 to 10 days, you'll have tons of flowers growing in your house, you know, so you just cut that one off and then the other one. So the stamen on the top is the problem, you know, that's another thing for the florists too. So if you have them at home, just take a tissue and just take the tissue and take it off, otherwise it will be on your clothing, on your tablecloth, and, you know, and I'm also guilty of that too, but you know, Susan Rendell and I will be like, okay, don't look at what we're wearing today, you know, because we've got pollen all over us and dirt on our face, you know. I got cleaned up today. Cosmos, it's such an easy flower to grow, and it's almost like a weed in our garden. I mean, it is, and if you don't cut this girl or boy or they or them down, they'll just they'll just go and they'll just become taller and taller and taller. So I'm just whacking them down right now. But I love them, and there's other colors. There's white, and there's pink, and there's yellow. So, and they give a lot of beautiful movement in a vase. Maybe some of my favorites this year, this is a flower farm that I took photos in Utah, are the ta-da, what is it called?
Dahlia.
Thank you! I don't have the sign up to tell me what it is. So anyway, we've been growing these in the Giving Garden this year, and we've actually had an expert come out, and we do some workshops. You know, we posted some things in our newsletters that we have speakers come out, and we did a workshop on growing dahlias, which was just tremendous. But dahlias are something that most of us are a little bit afraid of. Well, at least I was, because you know you pay for these tubers, and then you know then they're so expensive. Then you have to dig them up, you have to store them, you know. And then but in my garden at home, these are coming back without digging them up. So you could take a chance, you know, but you probably don't want to take a chance if you invested a lot of money into it. With dahlias, you want to pick them when they're completely open. When they're completely open, you don't want to partly open, half open. And it's an interesting way to, when you pick them, you know, you can divide the stems in half. It's a little tricky to get them, but you know, the floral designer that I'm working with, her stems are like this tall, mine are this tall, so I'm hoping next year with some amendments to the soil, you know, I'll get better luck. Okay, this is a question for you. Here is a hydrangea. I think it's an Annabelle. And which one is the one we should be picking? The one on the left or the one on the right? Which one is ready to be picked?
Left. The right. Left.
Look at it again. Now. I know, I've always picked the one on the left, but the correct answer is the one on the right. When it starts to get a little bit papery, and you know, then that's when it's ready. If you pick one on the left, it will probably go wilty in your vase right away, but we're gonna learn some tricks about, you know, those tender flowers like lilacs and hydrangeas that you put them in a vase and they go boom. So, do you know what boom means? It's a very technical term. Okay, let's see if this, okay, where's the video? Ooh, where is my technical help?
Just
I'm trying to get the video to go. Where's the video? Oh, there you go. Yep, no, right there. Okay. Let's see. This is the wobble test to pick zinnias. If your zinnia is doing that, do not pick it. Can you show us the one that we should pick? It's nice and stiff. Yeah, perfect. That's good. That'll last in a vase. Thank you. So that's Barb. She's here. We go. Get her water Anyway, this is something that is like, I have so many friends that grow zinnias and they don't know this, and it's like the wobble test. You don't know the wobble test, so you know people have been growing for 20 years. If you pick one that's wobbly like that, it is just going to go kerplunk in the vase. It'll bend. So you want a stiff stem, and they're not going to open anymore. So that's the best time to pick.
Is the one that is wobbling past the pick date or
Yeah,
before?
no, it's before the pick date. It is not ready yet. So when especially when I'm doing you pick flowers, I want people to pick the zinnias the correct way, which is any of the flowers you want to correct to leaf node and long stem. And if it's wobbling, do not pick it. Next week it'll be fine, probably. Yeah. Okay, so, oh my, somehow when I gave Larry information about what I was going to be talking about, I guess I talked about making a European spiral bouquet, and I was like, oh, okay, you know? And then I'm like, okay, I know how to do it, but I really don't, so, no, I don't, well, I have the instructions, but this is where it comes in place, you know, call a friend. And so I have Rachel Bredimus, which we're going to show a 6-minute video of how she created this amazing bouquet, which you'll see over here. That's the spiral bouquet. And what it has to do with a lot of crisscrossing. And, you know, if you have good hand coordination, it takes a bit. She actually says floral designers, you know, exercise their hands 2 months before the season, just to get their hands able to, 2 minutes, yeah. So, because you're just holding the flowers in one hand, and you add stems one at a time, 45 degrees, you go around, and then you keep on turning and turning. And then at the end, you cut the flowers so the stems are all the same length, and then these are great for market bouquets, and then you put a ribbon or a twine on it, and it's good to go. And so when you take it home, you can shove it in the vase, which shoving it is not really the right way. Beautifully put it in your vase on the table, finding the perfect spot that you can see all around it. And yeah, so anyway, let's see. I might need you again, Kelly, up here to get the next one. Here's Rachel, and we did this video in the next one. Oh, sorry. Rachel came to my house, and this is my kitchen, and Yeah, I did professional photography, but not videography, but, this is an attempt at a video, and, we only did 2 takes. The first take, after I did, I saw too much clutter, so my kitchen looks really clean. And if you can't hear, I'm hoping you can hear.
Hi, I'm Rachel Bredimus. I'm here with Studio Lark, and I am going to teach styles of bouquet. I grow flowers at Juniper Hill Farm, Northlands. Okay, when you're doing a spiral bouquet, you're going to have all of your stuff completely processed and ready in front of you. Do yourself a favor by having all of it done. And you're going to just do a whole technique of over-under, and that will make sense as I go. I always start with something that's leafy and has like a good stem. So I've got this lemon basil, and I'm going to go over like this, starting 1, 2, 3. And then every time I'm going to put my next stem over but under. So that's what makes the spiral. Just kind of taking turns with every stem as I go and keeping this whole distance going. I have about 3 kinds of greens here. I would probably say you could do 3 to 5. And a number of dahlias, as well as some pretty things, something like a scabiosa. That's delicate. I'm going to have sit up top more, something that's maybe not as fun to look at necessarily, like celosia. I'll sit down. I always say when you're doing floral arranging, you need to let every flower live in its own universe. So you don't want them on the same plane. You want a little bit of give and take. And that's what gives that really whole, natural, organic look that is very popular right now. As far as color, I'm just kind of seeing what color needs to go where when. When I start feeling like my hand, like my colors need to keep going, and I keep twisting, and I'll stop to pull this up and look at it and see where I'm at. Alternating as I go. I think as you do these and you practice these, the less you think about it, the better. And sometimes they just don't work. You gotta start over. Don't be afraid to just begin again. Just giving it a lot of air, I would say. Another thing with popular floral design right now is color blocking over polka dots. So I am paying attention to a little bit of placing light colors with light colors. Also, if you're looking to make money with this, you might put some flowers that people like to see more at the top, like the Lysianthus is going to sing better if she's up the top. Okay, so right now I'm a little flat, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to pull out some of the ones that I know are really eye-catching, and I have a little bit of space here I'm going to build on. Again, making sure that everything's under, over, crisscross in the spiral. When you get to the end, this is when you're gonna take some of your greens that you have and make sure that you give more depth and size to your bouquet. If there's anything you didn't put in that you want put in, you're gonna push it in at a 45-degree angle, if you can. Thread it through, pull it out over here. And don't be afraid to let some of these really sit at the top. Okay. Getting our last little fun ones in. Got them all. Kind of shaking it loose. Got two guys that are staring right at each other. I'm gonna change that. Bring one up. One more piece of sludge over here. Okay, to cut, we're gonna make sure that every stem is the same, is getting a fresh cut. It needs to all go in water, every single one. You want them all the same height. And then taking a rubber band, you're going to slip up one nice sturdy stem. You're gonna wrap it around and come back up another sturdy stem. Can be the same one or a different one. Whoop, that happens. Sorry. And there we go. It should be able to just stand all on its own.
Anyway, Rachel's been like amazing. So she actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of Juniper Hill. She has a flower garden at Juniper Hill. She's always open when they have pizza nights. This is her email. She had a couple of people, paid workers, that went back to school. And so if you're interested in doing some flower farming and arranging with her, this is her email. She's looking for paid volunteers, not volunteers, paid people who get actually paid. And I think it's like, I'm not saying so much. You'll get to take home flowers, that's all I care about. And here we go. This is Rachel's, her little, the first time she did it, Juniper Hill, her little bit of our flower stand. And we're going to talk about succession planting. So in succession planting, you have 3 different kinds of flowers, which I've already talked a little bit about, the cut and come again ones like zinnias and cosmos and black-eyed Susies. You need to cut them and they'll come again. Then there's some that are just medium producers, and then there are the one-hit wonders like, like stock. Stock is like you get one stock. Usually it's just one delphinium, one of this. So, and those are your just like amazing standout flowers. Yeah. Okay, and then these are methods that we use in the Giving Garden, and floral growers and designers will use this. It's corralling. The setup is you place those sturdy metal T-bars or stakes roughly 8 to 10 feet apart on the outside edge of your flower beds. And you can twine the layers. You can twine it, or you can use this netting. And then, so how this whole thing is, so the flowers won't fall over. And we do this with our zinnias, with our dahlias, and with our lizzies for sure, because they grow tall. And then there's the netting, which I just showed you. The netting is where Erin buys her flower stuff. It's called Hortonova, and it's suspended over the growing beds on stakes, on T-posts to keep tall cut flowers growing straight and prevent storm or wind damage. So it doesn't look beautiful if you're doing this in your home garden, but if you want to have a cutting garden, I highly recommend it to corral or net your. So here's some of the floral tools. I should have turned it the other way, but so the hardest ones are the ones you're familiar with. There's snippers. Then there's actually a snipper for making bows, certain scissor for that. Your pliers, your pruners, but then the floral knife, okay? So most floral artists use a floral knife, and I'll talk to you about my next class that I did when I did the floral designer class that's coming up. But there's actually a whole pamphlet on Mississippi State, but we'll have a pamphlet, just like how we have pamphlets for our extension service, on how to use a floral knife. And it is contrary, very, a little bit dangerous, you know. Okay, this is the fun part. Okay, caring for flowers. These are some of the, so the floral class that I took, which I haven't got to yet, 2 winters ago, I had learned that there was a master floral designer class that I could take through listening, you know, we have that K-State happy hour, like once a month, we have a K-State hour, and I'm listening to this person, and she's from K-State, and I'm like, wow, and then I'm like, I'm really interested in learning more about, you know, making bouquets, and so I inquired, and so the first part of the class was I took an online class through Mississippi State, and there was actually like, it was almost like tests at the end of everyone. I think I only scored 80% at the end. Wasn't like an A student, I was like a B student. But anyway, and then the second part, which was amazing, we went to, there was only 3 of us. K-State has just started this, and it supposedly was the first time they did it, and so only 3 of us showed up for a week, and for a week, every day we made 3 or 4 floral arrangements, and I learned so much. So these are the stuff that we use, you know, for a floral class. So, you know, the first thing for caring for flowers is you need to clean buckets and vases before use. I mean, how many of us have stuck a vase, rinsed it out, stuck it back in? There's bacteria in that. You need to really clean out your vases. And of course, harvest flowers during the coolest hours of the morning. You want to pick flowers, as we've talked about, at the right stage. Place in cool, clean water. And you want to change the water every few days. In the beginning, when I used to get bouquets or make bouquets, someone give me a bouquet, I didn't change the flower water until everything was dead, and I don't know, maybe you can all remember the smell that it smells like. So now I haven't had to smell that in at least 5 years. So then after you've got your flowers, you let the stems rest. So, you know, if you can do this, you want to pick your flowers a few hours before or the night before, and then you add your floral preservative, which is like, you know, a little package that you get when you buy your bouquet. You get massive amounts, but some people, Susan and I disagree about this, but this is how I was taught through K-State, that it actually extends the life of your plant, and it's nothing poisonous in it, it's not a chemical, you know, it's just mostly natural ingredients and in it, so. And then, of course, you want to recut your stems when you're doing everything. Okay, so, let's see. This is one of the floral workshops that we put on at the Giving Garden. And so, cutting stems underwater, true or false? I want to say true. How many say true? How many say false? Well, half of you didn't write it. False is the correct answer. That is just like, oh, you don't need to do that. You want to recut your stems, but they don't have to be cut underwater, okay? Okay, so there is also a myth that you need to put your flowers after they've been cut in a bouquet into the sunlight. No. You master gardeners, no. How about adding sugar? No, that's a wives' tale too. No, that's false. Ice cold water. No. How about bleach? Actually, yes. You can add a little bit of bleach and that will help. I mean, it's best to put the chemical that, you know, you can buy at the nursery, but if you don't have that, you can put a little bit of bleach, but just a little bit of bleach, you know, you don't want. And how about pennies? I've heard that if you put pennies, or, well, 7-Up was another thing, put 7-Up in. No, neither one of them are true. So pennies, first of all, pennies these days, which are almost, they're not gonna be here anymore, so maybe keep some of the old ones, because they had copper in them, and maybe the old ones, the first ones, maybe had some medicinal purpose to keep the arrangement alive, but, yeah, the pennies we have today, and we won't have anymore. No, but if you want to put a penny on that, no, here. Okay, here's some vase life tricks for lilacs and hydrangeas. You want to pick these in a cool morning or evening. This is a repetition, but this is, we never want to cook in the middle of the day. Choose stems that are, and with lilacs and hydrangeas, choose stems that are 1/2 to 3/4 in bloom. Transfer to a cool place. Remove all leaves, all of the leaves. Use heavy clippers, recut stems vertically, and grasp one side of the slice stem and twist it backwards. Then you place stems in a cool dim room for a couple hours to rehydrate. And so I'm always so disappointed, especially with my lilacs, because I was like, I want that smell to last for days. And so, okay, so
Can
this
you
is.
speak to recutting vertically? It's,
Yes, the reason why you want a vertical cut is because if it's flat and it's at the bottom of the vase, how's it going to get any nourishment? It needs to be able to drink. Diagonally, that's what yeah, sorry, diagonally.
And you say after that to grasp one side of the
Yeah,
tree.
and twist them.
I'm sorry, I'm lost, losing that concept.
Well, let's talk to me after class because
Okay.
I didn't have a visual of that, okay?
Good.
So, okay, so then this was amazing. Karen Pendleton says she doesn't do this, but Florette does this. Karen says it's too much work, but if you have woody stems, like, the lilac and the hydrangea, and they have air buds, so you cut them on, you slit the stem, and then they're also so you dip the bottom inch of the stem into hot, not boiling water, and wait for about 30 seconds. And immediately place in cold water, not ice water, and it just comes back to life. It's like magic. It's like, yeah. So you can try that. Elements of design. I'm not going to go into a whole lot, but this is where, in my floral training, you learn about color, pattern, from texture, space, and fragrant. 12-slice color wheel. So I'm going to mostly talk about the 12-slice color wheel because although I have a degree in design and photography, I'm not very good with the color. I'm not good. I mean, I'll put similar shades of color. Like I love blues and I love, and so I like similar colors, and it's hard for me to go to the contrary one. So if you have a color wheel, that will really help you. So this is the 12-slice color wheel. And you can buy this, it's maybe like $7 online. So then you have your primary colors, which we maybe all learned about in elementary school, which are red, yellow, and blue. And then your secondary colors, which you mix with the primary colors, which become orange, yellow, blue, red, yellow, yellow, blue, blue, and red. And then the last thing is you have something called tertiary colors, which will be mixing the primary and the secondary colors together. And so when you're looking at a color wheel, so just say over blue, you look at the blue, and then you can go to the other side of the color wheel, and you can put those two colors together, that green over there, then you go to the opposite side, you can put the red together. So you're just working with a color palette as an artist. So, okay, so this was my teacher, and this is the book. I have these books up here. This is the book, James Della Prince from Mississippi State. He is freaking amazing, and I asked him if I could share one of the videos from the online class, and I'm probably gonna go about 10 minutes longer. I hope you don't mind if we started late. So, but I wanna be able to share that, and then after that, we'll be moving really quickly. But he's going to demonstrate in this video how to just make you have a vase, sticking flowers in the vase, what to do. And he wrote me a little nice thing this morning. He says, "Good luck on your presentation, Diane," this morning. So that made me feel really happy. Okay, Kelly. Now I have to move it, so once you get there, okay. Okay, let me see. Oh, no. This one? No. Maybe just use the finger technique. Well, it may not have loaded. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, all right, well then, we won't go another 10 minutes. But you can look him up and, I mean, we wanted to go to Mississippi State to take his classes, which he does ongoing educational floral design things, because he is so much fun, and it makes everything, what did he say to me? Have fun this morning. I'm like, have fun, that's why I was not thinking that this morning. So in the floral class that we took, I'm just going to show you some, these are the arrangements that I learned how to make, so just, and then we photographed them, so this was a bud vase, and then we have an arrangement. There we go. This was so much fun, making this Christmas tree, which I did this for our Eudora Giving Garden friends after I'd taken the workshop. But we took all our own plant materials, which you can get just all different kinds of evergreens, and when we set up at my friend Kristen's house, and they became not trees, they became bushes. And so after, doing this again, I think I know how to teach the class. But we all had a good time. And then how about the boutonniere and corsage? In the beginning, people were like, "Oh, you grow flowers. Can you make some corsages and boutonnieres?" I'm like, not today. How about just putting candles in? So again, when we're looking at a lot of these centerpieces, there's, if you're having a dinner party and you have this tall thing on your table, you can't see anybody's faces. So having something like this that's low that you can see over, maybe the candles will be distracting, maybe not. But having something that's kind of crescent-like or low to the table, or, when you're doing your arrangements, if it's against a fireplace, you don't have to do the back of the arrangement, you just want the front to, so you just have to look and turn. So, anyway, this is, again, the Giving Garden. We helped with feeding Eudora, and these were just some scapes from garlic, and what we did this year is we gave people bouquets as they came around, which is so much fun. Let me tell you, it is so much fun to give people a bouquet. It's one of my favorite things in the world to do. And when people work with flowers, I've had people from, Susan and I have been doing workshops for Speakers Bureau to like Boys and Girls Club, Alive Inc., the Senior Center, and people will come in like this, and then by the end they're like, feel so good, and they've created something, and they've touched nature. So I would strongly encourage if you have enough flowers, make a bouquet for a friend, and then make one for yourself too, so yeah. Okay, and so that's my email, and that's me harvesting some flowers in our hoop house. Any questions? Yes?
I was wondering, I really like modern things. Is there a trend right now, because I've heard that sometimes they'll use very unique materials for a more modern display. Is there a trend that's happening right now with more unique floral arrangements that look more modern.
You mean more like a Japanese type of arrangement? I mean, I don't know what you're, yeah.
I've seen this like in boutique hotel lobbies where they will have really like out there type of materials that they use that you wouldn't normally expect. It's definitely not traditional.
Yeah, that actually has been coming into trend for a while. There was a floral designer here, Bittersweet, and when he was first doing stuff, he was bringing all these unusual things into his bouquets, and that's when I was like, well, this is great, because, you know, now when I see stuff that are from the garden, places that I grow, flowers, I love that so much more than getting, you know, the bouquet at the florist, you know, which, you know, actually, I have a bouquet of the month, and I haven't used it in the last 2 months because I have too many flowers. Yes,
Yeah, I want to perfect that over and under.
yes.
Now, is another way to look at that front and back? Or is she actually sticking the stems underneath into the bouquet?
It's like making crisscrosses, over, under, over, under.
Okay, so,
I know.
and then the next one will be in back, and then, but then you kind of have to turn it.
Yes,
Or
you have
they'll
to
all
turn
be-
it,
Then
keep
they'll all
on
be
turning,
so that they are
rotating it as you
same
go.
horizontal.
And it's really hard, I mean, especially for the farmer's market bouquets, you don't need to make a big one like that, but just making that just look so beautiful in a flower stand. Cindy?
Yeah, I love doing this too, and I don't have the training done, but I'm gonna start doing it. But I love horizontal, you know, bergamot and ivy and Kansas City, I love their work. But would you just speak for a moment about the greens that you grow to add to the structure?
Well, the greens that I grow, as I said, remember, it's a newbie mistake, but what I actually have Solomon seal, I have lemon zinnia, I use a lot of basil, I use a lot of herbs in my arrangements because that's easy to grow, it's easy to get. What you need to do is, because the greens that they have in the florals don't grow in Lawrence, Kansas, or, you know, Columbus County. So I'm just working with greens that I have, like, there's hostas look amazing in there, you know, there's so many different flowers, plants that you can buy, not buy, get. Anyone else? Kevin?
I had seen several of the pictures had dew on the flowers, which makes them jump. Would there be a benefit to misting a bouquet to keep the transpiration down, or would it be contradictory?
There is, and actually one of the videos that I was showing some of the products that you could use for floral preservative, if, you know, especially when it's one of those types of flowers like a lilac or, you know, or an iris, you know, if you mix it with this flower food, and it'll just make it last longer. And so, but really the dew on it is more because I studied flowers on water.